You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business maybe, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Jim. You are listening to the International Moving Podcast. It's great to be here with you again today. Today is Monday, March the 3rd, and whether you are listening from the United States or maybe you're already living abroad, this podcast is all about helping you navigate the world of international relocation. And I'm especially excited about today's episode because I was thinking, what type of topics would be of most interest to you, those of you who listen, that we haven't really covered? And we've talked about a lot of different countries, both in North America, Europe, Asia, around the world, even some African countries that Americans are relocating to for a variety of reasons. In Africa, for example, right now, South Africa, there are countries that are attracting business investment, and so professionals are relocating there. New offices, new opportunities to advance their careers. The Middle East is another country or another area of the world that has attracted a lot of investment income, people moving there, some for retirement, some are expats looking to have the type of lifestyle that maybe they couldn't afford over here. Others are digital nomads. In other words, there's not a single age group that we could point to and say, well, this makes up the bulk of people who are moving. No, it's really every type of background and country. Of course, Americans aren't the only ones that relocate, right? There's people from all over the world that are living an expat life today. And some are doing it simply for adventure, some for retirement, again, others for professional reasons. But I started thinking about all the countries that we've talked about, and that led me to today's topic. What are the easiest countries for Americans to relocate to this year in 2025? And maybe you've thought about that before. Maybe you're dreaming of a fresh start yourself, thinking about a new culture, new opportunities, but you're not exactly sure where to begin. So today I'm going to talk about the easiest destinations for Americans to move to in 2025, why they're so accessible, the tax implications that you would need to know, because that's going to impact your life, the visas that'll get you there, and the lifestyles that you can expect. And plus, of course, we're always going to wrap it up by sharing with you how SDC International Shipping, you can check out the website at sdcinternationalshipping.com, can help you get there stress-free with a variety of different services. They can match the service particularly to your needs, and so you can have your custom moving plan and a custom quote just for your particular situation, because no two moves are exactly alike. Some people move with basically the clothes on their back and a few other things. Other people move their entire households. In the past, I think if I was moving internationally, I probably would have just sold everything off and then bought everything again at the new location. But believe it or not, I've changed my opinion on that. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one, the expensive or antique or whatever furniture you have that you value, that's built well, you'd be hard-pressed to replace that couch, that dining room table, even bedroom sets with the same quality that is out there today. It's just amazing. Even the higher-end furniture is not built as well as the higher-end furniture of the past. Matter of fact, for those of you who are, I would say, north of 45, you've already experienced this in your life. Almost nothing from the clothes that we wear to the food we eat is arguably as good or as healthy or as sound as it was in the past. Even the homes that we buy today, contractors tell me that the materials are not built to last, and that maybe a $100,000 home that was built, I don't know, 25 years ago is going to last longer than $1 million home built today. And that really opened my eyes when not just one, but several contractors told me about that. So when the quality begins to diminish that much, you really begin to appreciate how things used to be. And, I hate to get in that place where, you're going back to the past and talking about how good everything was. I know when I was a kid, I heard that from my parents. I heard that from their parents. But today, we actually have evidence, proof that the things that were built in the 90s, let's say, and in the 80s seem to be lasting longer than things that were built in, let's say, the year 2000 or the year 2010. Okay, let's not bog down there, but let's keep on going with this topic. If you want, grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get into today's topic. Okay, so when it comes to relocating, what does the word easy mean? Now, if I recorded today's episode around the topic of what are the most difficult countries for Americans to move to, maybe you would listen just out of curiosity, but easier always trumps difficult. At least in my book, it does. So let's look into how we come to that definition of easy. Number one, easy to me means a straightforward visa process or visa processes. Number two, easy means great expat communities that will welcome newcomers. And easy means to me a culture that doesn't feel like a complete culture shock to your system when you're there. So straightforward visa processes, welcoming expat communities, and a culture that is not going to be like a complete culture shock to your system. Based on what's trending in 2025, we can look at 4 countries that stand out for Americans looking to make the leap. Now, when I go over these countries, you may think, well, I really wouldn't want to live there. Maybe you have reasons for that. But remember, we're talking about the easiest countries to relocate to, not the most necessarily popular countries to move to. Okay, number 1 is Mexico. What makes it easy? Well, number 1, if you're here in America, the proximity is the first thing that you'll notice because it's right next door, basically, especially if you're living on the West Coast. So you're not crossing oceans to get there. They have a temporary resident visa, which is a breeze to get if you have about $2,000 a month in income or savings to show. Plus, English is widely spoken in expat hubs like Puerto Vallarta or San Miguel. I don't speak Spanish, but hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly. De Allende. Next, the cost of living is low. Think like $1,500 a month for a comfortable lifestyle and food. And you can have tacos every day there if you want them. Now, I know people that have personally moved there, they spend more money than that because they were looking for a luxury lifestyle that compared to the U.S. was still cheaper to afford because we're talking about Mexico and not the United States. Okay? So number 2, Portugal. I have friends here in the state of Florida who relocated here from Portugal, and they told me the country is beautiful. They loved living there. They loved everything about Portugal. I also have friends from Italy that told me the same thing, that Italy was sort of split, actually. Some people really didn't care for the area that they lived in there. But what these two have in common, my friends from either country, Italy and Portugal, is the fact that they relocated here. Now, both of them are in the restaurant business. Both of them succeeded. One opened an Italian restaurant about 15 years ago. One opened a Portuguese/Italian restaurant. They have a little bit of both. And what they told me is there's just not a lot of business. There wasn't enough business opportunity there. So I know that people here in the United States have made similar moves within this country. because maybe you live in an area where there's not a lot of room for financial growth, starting a business. There are most certainly places within the United States that are easier to grow a business than others. I left the Jersey Shore particularly for that reason. Number one, it was very expensive to live there. One of my options was to go north to New York City. We're going back decades now. It was a little cheaper to live there then, but it was never considered cheap to live there, even by the standards of that time. California is another example. Chicago is another example. There are places in Texas also that we can look at. Here in the state of Florida, more so now than in the past. In the past, Florida was looked at as mainly a place that you didn't make money, but you brought your money from another place and then you lived well here. Of course, now over the decades, places like Miami and Tampa and Orlando have grown to the point where, and it's depending what type of industry that you're in, where people make or build businesses and have, good professional careers. So, again, no matter where you are in the United States, there are some places that are just tougher to make a living than others. So, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because these beautiful places that we can talk about, like a Portugal, why would people be moving from there? What would be the primary reason if so many expats are moving to there? Well, it comes down to money, like a lot of other things in life. So, probably, I'm guessing that they'll be tempted to retire back to their home country. I don't know about my other friend. His name is Andrea. He's from Italy. But I've known quite a few Italians that they enjoy the United States better. They enjoyed growing up in Italy, and they had all their formative experiences there, but they're just focused on the remainder of their lives here in the United States. So I guess wherever you grow up, you become used to that place. And more people are, again, moving, even within the United States, if not abroad. But very rarely do people grow up and live their whole lives in the same town as they used to. So we talked about Mexico, we talked about Portugal. Now, a little more about Portugal in 2025. The D7 visa is perfect if you have passive income, like $1,000 a month, from investments or a pension. Portugal has a very laid-back vibe. The affordable living there, around $2,000 a month if you want to live in Lisbon, and it's in the EU, so you're plugged into Europe. English is very common there. The weather, they say, is incredible. So that's Portugal. So Mexico, Portugal. Now, number 3, when I discovered what number 3 was, I thought to myself, maybe I shouldn't mention this simply because this country has gotten a lot of bad publicity lately, but I'm going to name it anyway. Number 3 is Canada. Canada, of course, our neighbor to the north. I love the people in Canada. I work with people from there on a weekly basis, believe it or not. I have friends from Canada that are living here in the U.S., and they say they have no intention on going back. So when it comes to familiarity, I mean, we speak the same language. The culture's basically the same. The winters are cold, but some people would prefer colder weather to warmer, hot weather. There is an express entry system that loves skilled Americans that have work experience. If you're under 40, you have a solid job history, then you've basically ticked all the boxes. Proximity is a bonus. Again, you can get back into the United States basically anytime that you want. And so that's Canada. Now, on the other side, we've heard plenty of negative press about Canada recently. So I'm not going to go into all of that. That gets into the politics of things. If you're into politics already, then you probably already would rule Canada off your list. But if you're looking for, again, certain things that really stand out, especially if you have a good profession that you're in with work experience, then that may very well tick the boxes. And the fourth and final country we'll look at today is Panama. Panama has been a sleeper hit for years. One of my uncle's best friends from the military retired there 20 years ago. He loves it. Maybe if you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard me mention him. They have a visa called the Friendly Nations visa. It's tailor-made for Americans. All you have to do is invest $200,000 in property or a business, and you're in. Now, if you're younger, you may think, well, $200,000 is a lot of money. I don't have that. But a lot of people who are nearing retirement age or professionals, you simply sell your house. There's your $200,000. You invest it there in another piece of property. You'll get quite a bit more than what you get here for $200,000. And again, you're in. English is everywhere in Panama City. The US dollar is the currency there, so you don't have to worry about exchange rates or anything like that. Maybe you've heard a little bit of controversy in the news about Panama lately, but that seems to be getting ironed out. The issues with China are no longer issues, and you can look at the other side too. It's tropical, it's affordable, about $1,800 a month will get you pretty far, and you're just a short flight from, let's say, Miami. So these countries shine because they have clear paths to residency, they have expat-friendly policies, and the lifestyles don't require a complete overhaul from what you're used to. But what about the money side? Let's talk about taxes next. Let's talk about tax implications and filing. So many times people just think about, well, I'm paying taxes here because I'm making money here. Maybe there's a minimal I'll pay, or maybe I don't pay taxes there at all. They don't really think about it. That's kind of like lower on the list for a lot of people. But taxes trip up a lot of people. And as an American, you have a unique situation. The U.S. taxes you owe on your worldwide income are required no matter where you live. Think about that for a minute. Yes, you're an American citizen, but the U.S. taxes, you owe those on your worldwide income no matter where you live. So do you need to still file tax returns? And the answer to that is yes. As of this recording, unless they're going to do away with the IRS, it is possible that there's going to be a new system, whatever it's called. There's going to be income coming from somewhere, of course. But as of this recording, yes, you do have to file taxes. So the good news is you might not owe very much or anything, because there are some very handy tax breaks that are available. Take the foreign earned income exclusion, or the FEIE. In 2025, you can exclude about $120,000 of foreign earned income from U.S. taxes if you're living abroad full time. So let's say 330 days a year you're in Mexico or Portugal, or if you're earning more, you have investments, the foreign tax credit will kick in. Pay taxes to Canada on your salary, then you can offset the U.S. tax bill dollar for dollar. Now in Mexico, and again, this is just for informational purposes. I'm not giving you legal or accounting advice here, just based on the information that's available to me. Of course, not being a professional, if I was, I'm sure I'd have even better information, but this is just giving you an overall insight into this topic. In Mexico, there's no double taxation treaty with the United States, so you'll file there too if you're earning locally. But the FEIE usually covers you. Portugal has a really great deal with its non-habitual residence program, 10 years of low or no tax on foreign income, plus a U.S. treaty to avoid double dipping. Canada taxes residents on worldwide income too, but there's a treaty with the U.S. to keep things smooth. With Panama, they only tax income earned in Panama. So your U.S. investments might dodge local taxes entirely. Again, you'd have to talk to an accountant about this. You'll still file in the U.S. You'll still file a tax return every year, Form 1040, plus maybe a form called an F-bar if you have over $10,000 in foreign accounts. And yeah, this does sound maybe a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're not already familiar with this topic, or at least a little bit familiar. But what you really need is a good accountant. They're out there. It's very manageable. They'll take care of that. They'll advise you for that. It doesn't cost a fortune to have a good accountant. Basically, their services are designed to pay for themselves with the money they'll save you, so it's supposed to be a wash. That's something that accountants told me a long time ago. And so there's a point where, yes, you can manage your taxes by yourself. But then there's a point where, for peace of mind, it's just better to have a certified public accountant doing the work for you. And then maybe if everything is going to be more or less the same from year to year, you could pick it back up yourself again once you follow the logic of what you're paying and why and what forms you're filling out and so forth. So the visa options. Visas, of course, are the golden ticket to anywhere you want to go. So in Mexico, you have the temporary visa, or the temporary resident visa, and all you have to do is show $2,000 a month in income or $40,000 in savings, and you're set for a year. You can renew that for up to 4 years. And then after that, you can go permanent if you want. It's simple, and the consulate stateside process everything very quickly. Portugal has the D7 visa, and it's for people with a passive income, $1,000 a month minimum, kind of like a pension or a rental income. And, you can apply at the Portuguese consulate, prove your funds, and you're on track for residency. After 5 years, you can even shoot for citizenship if you want. Canada's express entry is points-based. Age, skills, education, language. If you're a nurse, if you're technical, if you're an engineer, you're in demand in Canada. Everything will be much easier for you. It takes about 6 months to process. And you're a permanent resident if you want to be from day one. Panama, again, with the Friendly Nations visa, you invest $200,000. Let's say in a condo, you get a beautiful condo for $200,000, and you're a resident there within months. No income proof needed, just that investment. What if you want something lighter? Well, there's something called the pensionado visa for retirees with $1,000 a month pension. These visas are very straightforward. Maybe your money comes from someplace else. Again, you can prove it. Again, it's very straightforward, and that's why these are the countries that I'm including on the easy list. Okay, next, let's talk about lifestyle. What is life actually going to be like there? Mexico, think of vibrant markets, beach towns, a mix of expat plus local life, tacos and tequila, of course. It's laid back, but it's also lively. Portugal, think about cobblestone streets, the wine in Porto, a slower pace of life, perfect for retirees or remote workers, and again, very laid back. Canada feels like home with some extra politeness. You have the urban buzz in places like Toronto or the outdoors in places like British Columbia. Cold winters, but very nice summers. Panama blends the tropics with a little bit of city energy. There are beautiful beaches. There's high-rise condo living in Panama City. It's laid back, but yet it is connected. And each spot has, we're talking about these different countries, has its own unique flavor, but they're all very welcoming of Americans. There's plenty of Americans there. And, of course, to get to any of these places, that's where SDC International Shipping is going to come in. New Mexico, of course, is unique because a lot of your items can be transported by land as opposed to sea freight. And so no matter where you are living in the United States, you can look at a place like Mexico as, in a similar way, you look at Canada. It's just a neighbor. One's to the north and one's to the south. Again, there's plenty of Americans there, and you're probably, if you're thinking about moving to these places, you're probably already looking into some of the lifestyle amenities, things that are there. They both have high-speed internet, so if you're still working, then most of the places that you go to have high-speed internet. If you do find a place that doesn't, one of the other options now is satellite internet. Elon Musk has that service that was used here in the United States during the hurricane. It's called, I'm trying to think of what it's called. I was going to say Skynet, but that's the Terminator. But basically how it works is I think it's about, now it might be a little pricey, but this is, if you're in an area where there's no internet, of course this can become a business expense or write-off. You get the actual disc. It's like a big plastic satellite dish that goes on your house. And when I say big, I'm talking about probably, and it's very lightweight too. I have one. It's just the name escapes me at the moment. We bought it last year just for the fact that in case the power goes down here in the state of Florida with a hurricane, we can set up a system. They have a mobile system, and they have one that you can put on the house, attach it to the roof, or if you don't want to, you could just basically put it on a table in your backyard if you're non-techie and just, plug it in that way. And it comes with an app on your phone. And so basically it connects itself, and that costs right around $120 a month for the service. And I believe it was like $300 and change for the actual system itself. But we have ours in the garage right now, but if I was, had to move, or I was living in another place, everything was great there except for the internet, I would definitely go with that service. Starlink, that's it. The service is called Starlink. So you could look that up if you're interested in that, but don't let internet hold you back. No matter where you are in the world, the Starlink system is, I believe, available. All right, let's move on from there. So as you're looking at these places, as you're considering everything, of course, the move itself is going to be part of the process. That's where SDC International Shipping comes in. So whether you're shipping a few boxes, let's say to Mexico, or your whole life is going to be crated up and end up in Portugal, SDC has you covered. Door-to-door service is available. Customs expertise, so you don't have to worry about that. Everything can be seamless. I've heard from clients who say that SDC turned what was thought to be going to be a very stressful move into a breeze. So if you want more information about that, as always, head over to the website at sdcinternationalshipping.com. You'll find all the details there of the services, testimonials. There's a free quote form. Just fill it out, and the team will tailor a plan for you for your specific move. Or you can call the toll-free number at 877-339-0267, and there will be people there. They're ready to help, whether you're a student, a retiree, a digital nomad, or a professional looking to move the whole family. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Next week we'll explore something new. So for now, visit sdcinternationalshipping.com. Get an idea of how much the move is going to be. And if you're looking for a new adventure in 2025, there's no time like the present to start planning. So thanks for listening. Please share this episode with a friend if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.